Before the break, we spoke about the dehumanizing language Donald Trump uses when talking about migrants at the southern border and how this is yet another step into this country's descent into autocracy. To dive deeper into this, I'm joined by Dr. Jason Stanley, professor of philosophy at Yale University and author of the books The Politics of Language and How Fascism Works, The Politics of Us and Them. And Maria Hinojosa is the president and founder of Futuro Media and the anchor and executive producer of the weekly public radio program Latino USA and host of the podcast In the Thick. This is great to have you both here in person, so thank you for being with us. Maria, people who would have looked at the 2015 Donald Trump campaign launch coming down the escalator and carrying on about rapists out of Mexico, and one would have hoped that would have been the low point of his immigration rhetoric. But it wasn't even close. He did things that were far worse, and now in 2024, he's basically telling 2015 and 2016 Donald Trump to hold my beer. I'm going to show you what a crackdown on immigrants really looks like.
And you've just kind of laid it out. It's not like, what do we think might happen? He's laid it out for us. The problem that I'm having in this particular moment is thinking about what happened on the border. And you know, Ali, I would say that of all of the commentators of MSNBC, I'm the person who has been crossing that border for the longest time. Mm-hmm. That says I'm quite old, but also it means that I've been crossing it in one form or another since I was 5 years old.
Wow.
Right? Like literally driving across or flying across all the time, and as a journalist all the time. And I'm on my way back there. So the notion of Donald Trump talking about these people and saying these things, did you see him at all approach anyone to have a conversation, to just say, so tell me, why did you come? Because in that moment, the entire raveling of they're coming to take us and they're terrible and they're scary would come apart.
Yeah. You see what you see every time you ever see any immigrant or refugee anywhere in the world. You see eagerness, desperation, sadness, hope.
I mean, for the people who have come to New York, what New Yorkers, and most of them, by the way, yes, there are a few who are protesting, but most of them are coming up to them and giving them money and saying, hey, welcome. Because we know, like, they are the future of the city. So the problem is what Donald Trump continues to do is to lie. Because we also know that there is less crime in immigrant communities. It's data, it's fact. And yet he continues to portray this issue of they're coming in and they're all criminals. There are, let's say, around 10 million undocumented immigrants who Donald Trump says are all criminals. Ali, we would not have an immigration problem. We would have a crime problem. It's not happening because immigrants are not bringing in crime. When Donald Trump says that, he is lying.
So, Jason, let's talk about the stochastic nature of this. In other words, there's things you can do at the border, but if you think in a sophisticated way about immigration, border crossings are a small part of the matter. Immigration is a really important thing. It's something upon which this country has been based. People have come here by choice or by force, but our economy has been based on the fact that more people come here than leave, more people come here than die. Getting society to hate immigrants is really important in this mission. If you are trying to take power, getting society to do it is much more important than what you do at the border.
Excellent. Yes, you have to create fear and panic. And the narrative structure of fascism is always based around great replacement theory. We know that if you get people panicked about replacement of the population, we can get them to be more right-wing. My colleague Jennifer Richardson has shown this in detail. So great replacement theory puts us on wartime footing. Wartime footing allows you to suspend the rule of law. The way fascism works is you say there are internal enemies that want this immigration. This immigration threatens the nation by replacing people, Americans, white people usually, Christians, for example. Then you can suspend the rule of law and you can target your internal enemies because you say, my political opponents are Marxists and globalists. They want to replace the nation. It's a war. They're terrorists. We see this language aimed at university professors. We see it aimed at the media, and we see it aimed at Democrats. People forget that the first people the Nazis imprisoned in concentration camps were the Social Democrats, who they labeled as Marxists, as enabling immigration. There's two differences between the Republican rhetoric, Donald Trump's rhetoric, and Hitler. One is that he doesn't explicitly target Jews as the internal enemy, and the other is that Hitler wanted to dominate Russia, whereas the Republican Party wants us to be subservient to Russia and wants the U.S. president to take orders from Vladimir Putin.
Which is why, and I'll say this ad nauseum, even though people are like, you're estás loca, Maria, I don't care. If Joe Biden wanted to pull the rug, right, shift the narrative, leave the Trump campaign with oh my God, now what do we do? He does not do what he just did this weekend, which is to say to Donald Trump, you know what?
It's a good bill. Why don't you come on board?
Come on, let's work.
Because a lot of people in this country don't think it was a good bill.
At all. What would happen, and I know people are going to be, oh my God, what would happen if Joe Biden said, you know what, I actually know, because I've been doing politics for 50 years or 40 years, that the people who are coming are not a problem, not a threat, that they're amazing human beings. And so I am going to create an executive order that is actually going to mean, yes, if you want to apply for asylum, come in. Because you know what, Ali, and you know this, they are happy to use that term, being tracked. Every single person who's on the border was like, sure, let me sign up. You can track me. I don't have a problem. That's what Biden should do. Completely shift, say, I'm doing an executive order, take it away. And the second executive order that he needs to put in is, and for those people who are undocumented and have been here since whatever period of time, just like Ronald Reagan did, you now have a path to citizenship, assuming you're not a rapist or a murderer.
Right, because actually that is dealt with in the immigration system. You have to fill out forms. They know your history. You need police reports from where you are if you can get one.
It would change the political
We don't actually generally welcome murderers and rapists into the country. But we do have a 3.7% unemployment rate, and wages are rising in this country. Jason Miller in the Trump administration would tell you otherwise. They would say that if this were really true, if all of these immigrants were here and they were all stealing our jobs, wages wouldn't be going up and we would have a 5% unemployment rate or higher. How do we shift the narrative? Because this I hold everybody responsible for, not just Republicans. We've had the wrong narrative on what immigration has done for and will do for this country for a long time that's allowed this BS narrative to slip in.
So this is a standard fascist narrative that every fascist party uses. It's completely incoherent because immigrants are both supposed to be lazy and coming here to steal your jobs.
Right.
They're supposed to be criminals, and yet they're going to be law-abiding good workers. So it's openly incoherent. The British Fascist Party played this. The Italian fascists, they all are anti-immigrant. They all run with this incoherent narrative structure. And the whole thing is designed to put us on wartime footing to undermine the rule of law. So what we need to do is we need to call it out for what it is, a strategy to undermine the rule of law and undermine the United States and the Constitution.
Is there a way that this narrative can be changed, even in this coming election, where we can just sort of sit here and say, this isn't a race to the bottom on who can be harder on immigrants? We actually have to think about our future as a country, the immigrants we need, and returning to being a welcoming country for them. Well,
so I would put it on us, on our fellow journalists, right, to continue to talk about the facts of what immigrants actually do and bring. Recently there was a piece in the Washington Post that was saying what immigrants do for the American economy, that just during the pandemic lifted the American economy so that wages are increasing, for example. But you have to have the desire to do that, Ali. And frankly, too many people in our country falling victim to this are just lazy in their understanding of immigrants.
Yes.
And you know what? We are everywhere. 1, 2, 3, behind the camera, in front of the camera. My dad helped to create the cochlear implant. We're serving fruits and vegetables to people. We are everywhere, in every single state. So open your eyes. Are they, in fact, that threat, that horde, that mob that Donald Trump says? Or are they the guy working in the kitchen in your local little diner?
Like in my experience, that's what they are.
Like in my town in Connecticut. Where I have women who say, I'm afraid. They're coming. And I'm like, but the guy who's making your sandwich in the morning at the diner, he's undocumented. And they're like, he is? I'm like, have you spoken to him? So we continue to talk to combat fascism and name it by talking continuously and doing this kind of journalism, not giving up.
Thank you. Thank you to both of you. I really, really appreciate it. Jason Stanley is a professor of philosophy at Yale University. He's the author of multiple books, including The Politics of Language and How Fascism Works, The Politics of Us and Them. Maria Hinojosa is the president and founder of Futuro Media and author of Once I Was You.